So I just thought, something, source of inspiration came through for me, is to do a set of videos, short videos, random reflections. That's what it's going to be called, or that's what they're called, random reflections. So I'm just going to reflect on whatever comes up for me. I'm sitting here in a park in my hometown of Melbourne. That's where I'm currently living. That's where I've lived for a long time. And this random reflection is basically gonna speak to the why I created the Kundalini Hub. I'm gonna share raw, uncut. No need to cut it up. No need to perfect anything. It's just being me sharing, and the topic being why I created the Kundalini Hub. All right, here goes. Okay, so 10 years ago, roughly, when the genie, sort of came out of this vessel and unbottled this genie, my whole world came down, crashing down, imploding. Well, initially there was a lot of bliss and connected states, and then my world came crashing down. And just like many stories that I hear, I was led astray on my original or initial search for answers, and just trying to find people to help me connect the dots. And at one point, well, the many people that I did come into contact with were people either in the US, in the UK, people on the other side of the world, and I did get a lot of valuable information, things that really helped me. Found groups, and so much has happened since then. I got into a point where eventually I discovered Brent's work, Brent's spirit, good friend, and many other people in the Kundalini realm, world, if you want to call it that. And I guess I would get up early. I was attending Brent's meetings, Brent's Q&A sessions, and they were like, on my time, they were like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd have to get up, and which is fine because I was getting up and joining those circles, and just to sit back and mainly listen, because I felt like at that time I had done a lot of the purging. Wasn't asking as many questions. I did have questions, but I was in a space where I wanted to just sit and observe. Because I guess at one point, because I didn't find anyone local for me, like in the southern hemisphere, anyone in Australia or New Zealand or in the Asia area, at one point I said, because I was developing this relationship with Shakti, with Kundalini within, and just having this loop, and at one point I kind of like just said, wouldn't it be great if someone created a group, closer to home, someone we would connect with people sort of on this side of the world. And then, funnily enough, the voice said, "Well, that's for you to do. That's your job, or my job. This is why I'm kind of like preparing you." And I was like, "Really? Is it me?" It's like, "Yeah. Well, if not you, who?" So I went, okay, well, if it's meant to be me, do what you need to do through me to make this happen. And then the magic started. And that magic being, there were all these doors opening up for myself. I guess at one point I was being led to step into leadership roles. For example, one of them was men's circles. I actually came across men's circles, men's groups, because at the time there was a point in my life where I was living with my now ex-partner, and I didn't have many men in my world, men that I can connect to with in this new state of awareness, going deeper. And it was suggested to me to go to a certain retreat, of which I did, and there I connected with men And then one of the men reached out and said to me, "Hey man, I think you've got the tools to sort of start to get into tribal group facilitation." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, really?" I said, "Yeah, man, you've got all, the ability to listen." I was just getting a lot of things reflected because I was doing a lot of work, internal work, to really, step into listening and sharing and orchestrating, doing all those sorts of things. So I guess with that call, all those, I don't know, all those things sort of started to come to my attention, my awareness, and being kind of like placed into roles where I could hone in and practice these things. So the tribal group facilitation was one of them, where I was being invited to hold a group of men and listen and orchestrate. That's one of many. Now that I recall, with my ex, we stepped into a conscious container where I was really invited to listen and question, ask questions. What I would refer to as like just so my mind wouldn't fill in the gaps with anything. For example, developing really deep listening skills, being really present with people, just being really available and present and open and listening, and those levels of judgment kind of like, Kundalini just really invited me to just listen and hold a space for someone to unpack. And all these things started to come to my attention and being placed in these situations that I just felt like I was being primed for a role, this role that Shakti has asked me, Kundalini has asked me to do, to create a space, and and then such receptivity and love of communities. For example, someone like Brent, for example, and then reaching out to him and being so receptive so the why I created the Kundalini Hub, so I wouldn't have to get up so early at 5 o'clock, so I can create a space, so I could create a space for people, for us, to gather at times where it suits us on this side of the world. And now that when I say that, it doesn't necessarily have to be exclusive to anyone on this side of the world, because we're all doing different things. But the offerings, like for example the Q&A circle is on Thursday evenings here. That might not suit, but for example the Sunday morning intimate space is probably accessible to people on this side of the world. It's 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, which I believe is about 3 p.m. in North America, between 3 and 5 p.m. So it's accessible. And so the reasoning, so just to sort of summarize all that, the reason for me creating this space here is just to have something more available for people on this side of the world, and create a container and a net where they can sort of land, so we don't have to, not like myself, going around in circles, being led astray. And just to have an accessible place online and even in person. Hey, if you're in the area, if you're in Melbourne, please reach out. Send me an email. Drop me an email. Reach out. There's the Facebook page, and and I will do my best to connect people physically, where we can get together and do all those sorts of things. So yeah, Kundalini Hub, created for a place, a hub where we all come together as one. Let's drop the guru. Let's basically just come together as one, and we're all guiding each other home. We're all sitting in this space, being held, understood, validated, because your story is valid and your experience is totally valid. So yeah, come down, come along, join the group. I invite you to join the sessions. They're free, and then there's the one-on-ones if you want to continue with that sort of down that track. But the main thing is the need to create circles and to create sharing spaces for those of us like me, and for anyone going through this big time, this process of returning home to ourselves. So, and it's an important part. It's an important thing. So yeah, here's the invitation. I welcome you to the fold. Thank you.